Hi, welcome to English 451, Modern Poetry. My name is Dr. Corey Sparks, and I will be your professor for this semester, in which we tackle the last essentially 100 years of poetry together virtually. This is just a quick welcome and introduction video to take a couple minutes to orient you to some key things for the class. Here I am at the course website. You should be able to find a link to this site in our Blackboard course. If you haven't already done that, go ahead and check that out. The link should be available in the left-hand side menu and also in the information box on that first page in the course on Blackboard. Once you go to this page, this is all you need. The only thing that will be in Blackboard is when grades are posted for the things we're doing in the course. So really quickly, I'm not going to read through all of the stuff, just kind of note a few key things. Here's links to various parts of the course, the schedule, policies, assignments, and some other things that are related to things we're encountering in the course, but that aren't required. Notice each one of these sections is all the kinds of things that you would find in any course syllabus, including description, goals, required materials, policies and procedures, etc. And I'm not going to read through those. You guys can do that in your own time. A couple things I will call our attention to is under required materials and technologies and texts. There are no materials that you have to pay for this course. There are a few things that you need to make sure you do, which is pay attention to the Poetry Magazine web archive, which will be largely what we're using. You'll need to make sure you create an account with Hypothesis, and I'll show you really quickly where that is. So if you follow this link, you can do that. I will be sending out a link to join a private group in Hypothesis. And then also you'll need to make sure you have access to your university email and your Google Drive. Some of the assignments and some of the texts in the course require that you be logged into those systems to access them because of copyright issues. Here's the schedule page. As you notice, each bit of the schedule is oriented by week. This course operates totally asynchronously. That is, each one of you is able to work at your own pace on these materials. We are not meeting via any sort of video conference Zoom. However, there are still due dates, and there are still things that you need to make sure you're doing. Because one of the things that I really want this course to do is put you as students studying modern poetry in the driver's seat in terms of a community, paying attention to things like form, paying attention to things like movements across the 20th and into the 21st centuries. Here we have week 1. There's a couple things that I've asked you to do, and that is record you reading, and either via video or audio recording, reading your favorite poem, and song lyrics count for this. And then I ask that you just post the text of your poem or song lyrics to that same folder. Next week, we're going to do some work with that, practicing with Hypothesis, doing some annotation and doing some web notes. There's a couple readings there that will form the basis next week, form the basis of how we think about and talk about poetry. And these provide some really useful sort of practical things to pay attention to and talk about when you encounter new poems. Here we are on the assignments page. There are 3 main assignments. There's a digital commonplace book, community annotations using Hypothesis, and discussion leading. Those are sort of the key 3 areas that we'll be doing. Discussion leading, I want to draw your attention to the fact that discussion leading requires a sort of series of deadlines from those who are leading discussion. And there's a sign-up sheet linked to on our schedule. Make sure you get a hold of that. Finally, each one of those areas You'll produce some stuff throughout the semester, and they culminate in a reflective essay. So there'll be 3 reflective essays of a short to medium length, 1,000 words, where you get to revisit and think about and overview your work across the semester in those various 3 areas of the course. So really quickly, so that's the course site. If you go to Hypothesis, you can go to this Get Started button and it'll get a free account. There's a Chrome extension that you can use, or a bookmarklet in other browsers, and you can do that. I will send out a link to invite you, like I said, to a private group in Hypothesis, so make sure you create that account sooner rather than later. The other thing I'd like to show you is the Poetry Magazine web archive. We will be spending a lot of time in here. This archive includes every single issue of Poetry Magazine, going back to its first issue in October 1912. On our schedule, you'll see that I have listed readings by month and year. Okay, so that's the issue. And then the author. So each week, I'm asking you to read all the poems by those authors in those issues listed. What discussion leaders are going to do, discussion leaders will decide, out of all of those poems that everyone's reading, discussion leaders get to choose 4 to 6 of those poems that we are going to pay special particular attention to do our web annotations through Hypothesis. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to this class. I love poetry, I love modern poetry, and I think that this will be a fantastic course for us to get to try out virtually this semester.